This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Chat me up about when you knew I'm out. When you're pushing China off the ledge, did you think, well, I got some leverage, let's see what I can get this weekend out of this deal? Or did you think this is my last Raw and nobody here knows it because I've already talked to WCW?
I'd already talked to them, but no formal offer, which I was a little disappointed in.
Okay.
The deal wasn't crystallized yet.
So let's talk about that. When did you decide, you know what, maybe I should just reach out and see?
That was prior to this Raw.
But about when? Do you remember? You said earlier 2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is it would have been. So the prior week, I don't know where Raw was at. I don't know where SmackDown was at, but it was that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay. So
those 2 days is when I contacted JJ Dillon.
September 27th, you were in Greensboro, North Carolina for Raw is War.
Okay.
So I assume that it was there. It was after that. Richmond, Virginia, the next day for SmackDown.
Yep.
And then that weekend, or early that weekend, you're in the UK doing the Rebellion pay-per-view. And then when you come back, you're in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and then Long Island, and then Trenton, New Jersey. We had a house show there. And then Miami, Florida on the 10th, Fort Myers on the 10th, Georgia Dome. Here it is. So in that last, maybe between the UK show, around the UK shows when you have that conversation.
But it was going into the Atlanta Raw, the Atlanta and Birmingham Raw.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Think about that. What town was I in?
You're in Atlanta at that Raw. Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Did you meet with someone in WCW while you were in Atlanta?
No, but believe me, the we did it by phone call. But that path, that thought definitely crossed my mind.
Well, because the next day after that show at the Georgia Dome, you're doing SmackDown in Birmingham, so you're within driving distance of the office for sure. So, you said earlier you didn't do this deal through Russo. Who was your contact in WCW?
So there was a manager that managed the Great Kamala in 1982, 83, 84 by the name of James J. Dillon.
Okay.
That's how long I'd known J.J. Dillon, as a little kid, literally high school, and he shoot his promos in Florida and set them up. And then Kamala, Sugar Bear would walk out and never had J.J. at ringside and all that kind of stuff. But, J.J. had worked with my father for years. And he had, when I went up there in 92 was the first trip I ever went to the office right around that time. JJ picked me and my father up from the airport. So JJ had been a personal friend of my dad's for a long time. So fast forward, to this stage and scenario and what's going on, I just said I need to talk to JJ and sort of find out what the landscape, what's going on.
And had that conversation go.
That's your question, right?
Well, I mean, how did your conversation go with JJ? Was it just a feeling out process? Did they say?
Oh, no. It's like I'm talking to you. Hey, dude. I didn't call JJ dude, but JJ, Jeff Jarrett. I'd like to talk about if there's any interest with you guys. What? No, when's your contract expire? Saturday. Wait, are you booked Sunday? Yeah. No, really. What is the situation, Jeff? No, JJ, this is really Jeff. And this is really what I'm talking about. He said, you don't have a contract? I said, no. He said, well, I'm, obviously don't have the authority, but they have a guy named Bill Bush. I had no idea who Bill Bush was, but I said, okay, that's who I need to talk with. And I said, time is wasting. The clock's burning.
So when do you talk to Bill Bush?
I want to say the first conversation, because I was not disappointed in really how the conversation went, but sort of his disconnect. I didn't know him and he didn't know me, quote unquote, certainly not on a personal basis, but the context. And okay, he asked a lot of questions like financial people do, with zero emotion involved, but I felt there was no sense of urgency, but that's me. But in reality, I found out the following 4 or 5 days that yes, he had to get his ducks in a row, but he was just handed the reins of a financial, I don't want to call it a disaster, but I knew, and he told me, Jeff, we're not hiring. We're in the process of cleaning up contracts. I'm not sure of the situation. I'm going, son of a gun.
Yeah. You think the timing screwed you because timing's everything.
Timing's everything. And I could hear it in his voice that, and I believed it. Look, Scott Steiner. I mean, I'd just been there 2 years before, but the boys, Hall, Nash. I mean, I knew what was going on. I knew what I'd left. I knew it's a corporate environment, but also knew what my alternative was when I wasn't getting an offer. And I was, you talk about hitting the ceiling at the IC title. You said it earlier. I mean, 6 times and I ain't got past that. I mean, really, guys, this, I knew.
Yeah. And listen, I want to circle back to that for a minute because I think sometimes people take everything we say very literally. I'm not saying that you were necessarily a mark for the belt, so to speak. On some level, yeah, everybody probably wants to be world champion. But what you really want is, hey, I need to work the main events and get the main event paydays. Even if I'm not on the winner side, I need to brush up against the main event money.
Every night. I put over Doink for 4 months in a row.
Right.
Didn't matter. On TV, I was being the fake Doink, kicking his main. It's just, I never wins and losses. It's
whatever.
It's what it's the role you're playing. My God. So that didn't bother me.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast. We make it easy. And it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com.
But yes, I absolutely wanted to scratch and claw and do whatever thing I could to continue to be elevated on the card because to rewind, but it wasn't rewound in my brain. In 95, the trajectory that me and Road Dogg, and we'll get into that on another episode and why I walked out. But from January 1995, when me and Road Dogg hooked up and the success we were having and look, you know, I do believe one of the things I've been gifted with is a trained ear and listen to a crowd.
Yeah.
We were really rocking and rolling and we were headed for the right place on the card. I was trying to get back to that for 4 or 5 years. And knowing the path that I was on and all the funk that went around, and then talking to Bill Bush, and he's like, Jeff, I'm cleaning up a financial situation. I'm not even sure we're going to hire anybody. And I was just like, wow. But you know, that was him posturing for the negotiation, but cool. It's cool. I understood it.
So one more time, I just want to clarify. The final Raw is Warrior on, the one from the Georgia Dome where you're pushing China off the stage, the whole deal. Nobody brings up your contract or tries to stick something under you to sign.
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're having these conversations with Bush. He needs a few days to get his ducks in a row, as you said. He comes back and he makes an offer. Is it him who makes the offer? Or is it someone else?
So we had agreed to talk because remember we had SmackDown in there, and you know
Birmingham the next day.
Yeah, and there's a little footnote. There's definitely a footnote to that show.
Well, tell me, what is it?
1999. Okay, so you got to sort of put the dates in the road. 1999, October.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I got a gentleman and I don't know, 8 or 10 other folks tickets and backstage, and they got to meet all kinds of folks. You know who my guest at Birmingham SmackDown was?
Oh my God, it's Richard Scrushy from Health South.
Yes, sir.
Oh my.
That's how me and Scrushy had known each other at this point a couple of years, but he had called, hey man, you come to town? I said, absolutely. So yes.
The boys and girls, we're going to pause on the Richard Scrushy talk, but is this the first time he came to a wrestling show?
No, his son was a huge fan. Well, I don't know. I doubt his first time ever.
This is the first time you arranged a hookup for him.
Yeah, because we had hung out in music circles. That's how we originally met, through Atlantic Records. And if that's a Double J story, that when Double J in 94, I literally went around town and said, this character on WWF television is really getting some steam. Let's do something, quote unquote, legitimately in the music business before Road Dogg was around.
Right.
Atlantic Records, and Atlantic Records had Richard Scrushy signed and sort of, or coming up signed. I'd have to, anyway, through the music business, how me and Richard met. But here comes SmackDown, the product's red hot. At the time, I think his kid was 10, 11, 12 years old. He wanted to bring him. I got them tickets.
It's tremendous. So you're in Birmingham. Where's the offer coming from WCW?
The following day is when it was crystallized. And I knew that I knew the checks that were being written on a weekly basis. And this is where, when I look back on, thank God I'm a third generation and I've heard all kinds of stories, because again, I wanted to get to the top of the card. Like I would assume anybody, but I also knew that they were in trouble. And my dad had asked me, like, what's your thoughts? And I said, I've never been afraid to work. And there's a lot of guys there, because I knew the ins and outs, that aren't not just don't want to work live events / house shows, aren't going. And I don't mind being a workhorse. And so Bill offered me a $400,000 deal, not downside, a contract. And I said, I'll take it, but I want to get paid on a per show basis for live events. And I said, not full rack rate. I'm not asking all this, but I'll do unlimited amount of dates, which at that time was really going against the grain. But I also knew that I wanted to make up for last time over the last couple of years and go to work. And I wanted to set myself apart on other things. I wanted to make money. And he said, interesting. And so I got on a per show deal at $3,500 an event. And this is a little footnote, the first class air travel, but we hadn't really talked about cars. And I said, since I'm going to be doing all the house shows, I got to get a Cadillac every time. And he chuckled. I said, Bill, it's funny, but I'm not kidding. He said, oh, he wasn't really aware that was in some guys' deals. That, I'm not doing the midsize, but it got put in there.
So did you have a goal, like when you were hoping to have conversations with JR that were fruitful, and obviously you're both negotiating, and he wants to go low and you want to go high? If he would have came back and said, Jeff, you've done good for us and you're going to do us the favor on this China thing. We had you at 350. How do you feel about 400? Would we even be having this conversation? So, but instead he's saying, we might try to get you back to your old contract value. And
with no enthusiasm. Again, I know more so now than I did then, but then I also realized I got it. By this stage, now we're talking, if we're really talking real time, we're talking October. I got it. The writing didn't have to be on the wall.
I'm a math nerd, so I want to clarify. When you were saying 3,500 a show, you mean in addition to the 400,000, or it counts towards it and it could exceed it?
400 is my by month, check that I got. 400 divided 52, that whole check.
Yeah.
But every live event I worked, I got an additional 3,500.
So you're going to make,
my knowledge, I'm not sure. I don't know how many guys, if any, had that deal.
So to your point, WCW did not have pay-per-view bonuses. They did not have merchandise checks. It wasn't quite like the WWF system. So I don't know what I'm going to make with WWF. I hope business is good, but that's what it is. It's a hope. But when I'm going to WCW, I know I'm going to be getting roughly $8,000 a week, plus $3,500 a show. So on a busy month, you might pick up another $12,000 that way.
And that would be well under every opponent I wrestled. Every opponent. If you think about it in those days.
Yeah, you're wrestling Hogan and DDP and
Flair. They're all $1 million guys.
Yeah.
Not getting on a plane and going to Tupelo, Mississippi. I mean,
they're working TV.
Yes. Look, Scott Steiner has been a friend since '87. I knew his paycheck. There was no secret in those days what everybody's contract was. Big money. I was lucky to get that.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.